Okay, so we're in SolidWorks now. Yeah, so okay, yeah, so going back to Mesh Mixer one more time. I control A, edit, reduce, triangle budget, and I can adjust it. Yeah, I'll show that again. So, okay, in SolidWorks, so once again to open it, before I open, I hit Options. I make sure it's imported as a solid body. It'll default to a graphics, but we don't want that. It needs to be a solid body, and then we can open it. And you'll notice once it's in SolidWorks, it's got imported here on the left. That's how you know it's solid. And when I move it around, I can click on all these individual faces, and I can interact with it like a normal part. And so as a quick introduction too, for anyone who hasn't used it yet, this is SolidWorks. It's a 3D CAD software. You can use it to make all sorts of parts, assemblies. Important thing to kind of know for today is that it's sort of based around sketches and extrusions. So what we'll do is we'll make 2D sketches of the geometry we want, and then we'll extrude it outwards to create 3D geometry. And once all that's done, we'll be able to save it as an STL and send it to the 3D printer. What's up?
And give me an error that says this thing can only be exported as a surface model.
Okay, let's see.
When I exported it, give me this weird error. Oh, it's this. Yeah. That's still binary, right? Yeah, when I first downloaded these, I'm trying to restart the whole process because it didn't work. It just exported into Hawkeye as a surface.
So that's an import option. So go to open.
No,
You did that? You did that as a solid body?
Yeah, and then it said it couldn't.
Oh, because that was that mesh mixer warning.
All right, so
So,
all right, so I know some people are still kind of stuck in Mesh Mixer, but for the sake of getting this done today, I think let's move forward into SolidWorks. So once I have my solid part in SolidWorks, by pressing the center mouse wheel, I can rotate the part around. I can zoom in and out. It should be pretty intuitive to use. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm going to select Sketch up in the top left corner. And I'm going to start a sketch on the back of my part, on the face that I just cut. And I can select any one of these triangles and it'll open up this sketch here. Once I'm in my sketch, once I'm in my sketch, I'm going to select the rectangle tool and I'm just gonna draw a rectangle around my part. And we'll leave it at that for now.
That's made at what dimension?
It no, but we'll get to that. So what you kind of want to do is you want it to be around twice the width of your part, maybe around that. You want to bring the bottom close or flush with the bottom of your part, and then we'll make it around 1.5, somewhere around that size should be good.
Oh, so the bottom is actually not touched.
What? Yeah. So to start my sketch, I'm gonna go sketch. I'm gonna select the bottom of the part. Any one of these triangles will work. I'm going to go rectangle, which is in the top left. And like Illustrator, these are all different tools I can use to make geometry. I'm going to make a rectangle, and I'm just going to click, drag, like click, hold, and drag like that. Once I have that, I'm going to hit escape to exit the tool. And now I can click each of these individual lines and actually move them around to adjust the shape of the rectangle. So really what you want to get is you want to have ample room on the sides to add like pegs and holes, which we'll get to after this. And you also want to make sure you just have enough room around it for the mold not to be tearing or breaking through. Actually, I just realized I forgot a step. Before we do that, once you have your part in SolidWorks, we need to scale it up first. So did everyone kind of like the scale that their 3D printed piece was at? Okay. Personally, mine is too small. So really quick, if you do want to change the size of your piece, you can scale it by going to Insert, Features, Scale. I'm going to type 1.5, and my part will get bigger accordingly. So if you want to make your chess piece any smaller or bigger, that's kind of the way to do that. So yeah, back to the rectangle, sketch, click the back, draw in the rectangle. And once again, too, if y'all are comfortable in SolidWorks, the document is attached to the project assignment. You can pull up this walkthrough, just run right through it and get to the end. Although if you already made it, So what you do when you import it is you bring your options. That was before you did. I mean, one of the time problems is that when you open, you have to select a part before you hit open, the options you get into SolidWorks. Why wouldn't you think it has to be flush with the bottom, right?
You made the point. What type of is it no fill, minimal fill, or fixed fill? When I'm making this cut, with the advanced fill.
Okay. So in SolidWorks, once I have my rectangle, the next thing I want to do is I want to turn it into 3D geometry. So in SolidWorks, like I mentioned, you make 2D sketches and then you can extrude them. Here I can do an extruded cut, which would like cut through my part, but instead I'm going to do an extruded base. So I'm adding in geometry. I'm going to change the depth of this to around 1/4 of an inch. I can literally type in like 0.25 inches and it will convert to millimeters. And I'm just going to hit check. And you can see here I've added a platform below my half. So when we make a mold, what we're going to do is we're going to build a box around this, and then we're going to kind of pour in a mold material to become a negative. All right, so repeating all these steps. I'm going to draw my sketch. I'll select the back of the part. Oops, I messed that up.
Julian, are you getting it? Is it working for you?
Point 1/4 of an inch. I'll show it again.
The rubber or the part? The mold or the chest piece?
Oh, you can just do that.
Yep. And really quick too, if y'all are having trouble selecting the faces on your piece, it means it's not a solid body. If you look on the left, you see how it says imported here? That's telling me that it's solid geometry. If it says something different than that, you need to just close out your part and reopen it. And make sure when you're doing that, you select options, and make sure it's importing as a solid body.
Okay, so right? I think I don't know. There's this weird like red lines here.
Ooh, red usually means bad.
Yeah, that's the same area.
And the depth of the rectangle extrude doesn't matter too much. 1/4 of an inch is solid, but it can be less or more than that. It's not critical. So you're gonna evaluate?
The problem is if he's a little under the
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I see some people already starting with the pegs.
This is right.
All right, so the next step we'll do is we'll add our pegs and our holes. So if you look at any of the examples from last year's, you can see how you want to have some like pegs sticking out of one side of the mold, and you want to have matching holes on the other. So when you put the two halves of your mold together, they lock together, and you can strap them with rubber bands to make sure it stays tight. So we're gonna go ahead and add those now. I'm gonna do this by creating another sketch. I'm gonna select this front face of my part, and I'm just gonna add 4 circles in. I can use the circle tool up here, click, go out, click again to place them. What? The circle is going to be up here in the top left. So you can select the circle tool, click, go out. Anywhere. So generally, kind of just, you're going to want 4 of them in total. So put them more or less at the corners of your part. Like I could put these ones down here further, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's far away from your actual geometry, like it's not getting in the way. Yeah, great question. So the next thing we're going to do is select Smart Dimension up here. Smart Dimension will let you kind of add measurements to anything in SolidWorks. So if I click the Smart Dimension tool, I click on the outside of my hole, and I click in the white space, and it will let me type in how big they're going to be. So to get a nice fit, our pegs are going to be 4.8 millimeters, and our holes are going to be 5 millimeters. So I'm going to make these on the left side 4.8, and I'm going to make these ones on the right 5 millimeters. Yes, millimeters. Yes. Okay, another thing is too, I kind of want to get these in a rough rectangle geometry. They should be somewhat, close together, or not close together, but they should be horizontal, vertical with each other. If you feel comfortable doing it, one thing you can even do is add a rectangle, put it like that, and you can see if I click this button to make it for construction, you can see the rectangle turns into dotted lines, and I can drag it around like that. All my parts or holes are connected together. They should be more or less aligned, yeah. So I'm just gonna repeat all this. I'm gonna make a new sketch. I'm gonna draw 1, 2, 3, 4 circles. I'm gonna dimension the 2 on the left to 4.8 and the 2 on the right to 5. Then just to make sure they all line up, I'm gonna make a rectangle. I'm gonna hit 4 construction. So 4 construction lines will just be like temporary geometry. We're not gonna use it. I can pick up this circle, stick it right in the corner there. Pick up this circle, put it right in the corner, and now I can drag them all around. They're gonna be aligned with each other.
When that,
Yeah.
like, I have 4 circles and they're random sizes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have 4 circles. I can hit Smart Dimension in the top left. I click on the diameter on the outside of the circle. Click again to position my dimension, and I can just type in 4.8. Click again, 4.8. These ones are going to be 5, since these are going to be our holes. And then we should have everything correct. Once I have the holes dimensioned, I'm going to add my rectangle. So I click the rectangle tool. I click in the center of the top, like one of the circles. Click again over here, and I'm going to make this check here that says for construction. And that's going to just get rid of this rectangle, but keep it for reference. It doesn't matter. Now what I can do is I can pick up my circles, I can drop them in a corner so that they're all aligned, and I can move everything around. So these circles are going to be vertical, these are going to be horizontal, etc. They should all be lined up.
How deep, tall are your legs?
I did about 10 inch. Honestly, they could probably be taller.
Yeah. How do you measure before?
Okay, I can show you what I did, but.
Wait.
So the dotted lines are like a reference. You're not actually going to use it.
Wait, no.
Oh.
And so generally, once again, too, I kind of want to put my circles as close to the corners as I can get them, just because these are what's going to be holding your mold together. Um, so yeah, I'll put them more like that for the sake of demonstration. Okay, so once I have my holes, I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to boss extrude half of them and then cut extrude the other half. So I'm going to go to features, hit extruded boss base. Before I hit check, I'm going to go to select contours, this little drop down at the bottom, and I can select one circle, two circle, oh, actually, sorry, because this is my boss extrude, so I want to select this one and this one. These circles are 4.8 inches in diameter. I'm going to make them around 0.15 inches tall and hit check. So now I've got my pegs, but I need my holes using that same sketch I already used. So what I can do is I can hit the drop down on my boss extrude. I can right click on sketch 8, hit show, and now I can actually access the sketch again. So I'm going to select one of these circles. This time do an extruded cut. This time select both of these two circles. And once again, I'll do it 0.15 inch depth. And now I have a hole to match my peg. I'll kind of go through that again here. So I've got my sketch. I'm going to do an extruded boss base. Under selected contours, I'm going to select my pegs that are 4.8 millimeters in diameter. I'm going to make these around 0.15 inches. Then I'm going to hit the drop down. I'm going to right click sketch 8, and if I click this eye, it says show. It'll make my sketch visible. And you can see it in gray here. Now I can select it. I can do an extruded cut. Under selected contours, I'll grab both of these. And now I've got my pegs and my holes. Yeah. So my cut and my boss extrude for the pegs and holes are going to share the same sketch that we just made. So if I hit the drop down, this little arrow next to boss extrude, I right click on sketch, and I can make it visible or invisible. Here you can see now I can move my mouse over it, I can select it, make a cut extrude. I'll go ahead and select both of them, and now I've got my hole to match the peg.
He is a Solidworks main question.
Oh, okay.
Right now you can't force it. If you made a move, you would be able to force it. Your part doesn't have a flat side, so I would add like a key feature. So if you look at the document, Brendan just scrolls down a little bit. See like this part here, where you add a sort of volume to the edge, so that when you make a silicone hole out of it,
So just making sure everyone knows where this is too. There are step-by-step instructions for all of this. If you go to the final project assignment, scroll down and go to the CAD instructions. It's called STL processing, and this will have step-by-step instructions for everything. So you can pull this up and work through it as we're also going over it in class. Yeah.
yeah, if it's flat. It should be. Yeah, so in the document, it has. So it's what we'll do is we'll they're kind of tough.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, our piece is flat on the bottom. So are you saying that they were flat flush with the bottom of the base?
Yeah.
And we don't need a floor?
Yeah, so kind of show that really quick. Yeah, if your piece has a flat base, what you can do is,
Yours also has operates, right?
yeah. So what I would do is I'd edit my sketch. I'd bring it up like so where this is even with that. You can just bring it up right there. And now when I pour this, I can literally just pour it like directly in. There's no real dimension. Or what do you mean the cut? So so I've got 4.8 millimeters for the pegs, 5 for the poles. Move these down. Yeah, so I'm cutting and extruding to the same height. So these are 4.8. Select both of these, 0.15 inches. Gonna hit the drop down, right click, I can show or hide. I'm gonna show, select, extruded cut, select contours, get both my circles I haven't done yet. Now I cut, and I've got holes, I've got pegs. Oh wait, yeah, hold on, that's not right at all. What? You have 3D printed here, right? You have 3D printed molds, right? Yeah, so 33. Well, that's what we're doing here is we're making a composite, right? And then we're gonna pour a mold that is this would be a mold. Like a solid mold. And then we're gonna forecast the material. Do you have a hole in it? We should be able to edit this. It looks like a positive. It looks like a positive.
I mean, I can make it a positive.
Yeah, filter out. So all you can do.
Okay.
Are you still stuck in a No, I'm out now. Okay. This thing for me to read. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to line? I'm trying to put the blocks around it. Doesn't have to. You don't have to like perfectly do the same thing for the CNC. So I want it to be.
Yes, you're right. I think you were right all along.
Okay. So yeah, assuming that your part has a flat base, how this will work is if I have my two molds, I can put them together and I can pour directly in and leave this level off as my flat base. If your part does not have a flat base that you can use to mold, actually how about this, raise your hand if you don't have a flat base on your piece. Okay. You don't? Okay, Daryl, so what you can do is just add like a pour hole. So in this case, I'd want to make my rectangle like that. I'd select my mid plane and I just add in a little. Oh, that should be vertical, but you get the idea. Something that looks like this. And so then I would like pour my mold. It would have room to kind of fill over there, and then I just sand it off once I'm done. Yeah, so for everyone else, if you have a flat base, you want to make sure the bottom of your rectangle is flush with the bottom of your part. Otherwise, you won't be able to pour anything.
Like right now?
But then like when we actually like I didn't look at your like in the file, but we want
Okay, hey, I'm just gonna reiterate this. So if your part has a solid base, you want to make sure that the bottom of your rectangle is flush with the bottom of your part. That way, when we're pouring our mold, you can just pour in from the bottom, and the liquid will level off at the top. So to make sure that my rectangle, like I can go back and change it. If I right click my boss extrude, I hit edit sketch, I can actually change it. I can move this around like I want to. I'm just gonna drop it right on the edge. I'm gonna exit my sketch, and it's good to go. So if you get to this point and you're happy with how everything looks, go ahead and save your part as an STL, send it to yourself, and then send it to the 3D printer and go ahead and print this out. Yes. I realized, oh yeah, what's up? They're all used, yeah. If your file's completely done, I'll stay there and anything that's got Just a reminder, if you don't finish today, the step-by-step instructions for this are going to be in the project assignment, right? This should be attached to Canvas. You can go in here and click STL processing, and that'll be full instructions for everything we did today. This is already exported. Like everything exported.
Oh. Okay, very cool. Had to hit the button twice. Like that. Yay.
It does not need to be moving like that. Do you want your YouTube?
No, we scaled it up. But no, we just did that because we have to make the same square so we can have the same references for the
I'm always just scared.
It doesn't need to be.
I think so.
Okay.
We should
There's the recommendation.
My highlight of last week.
I was having a good time, man. I was having a good time. Yours is this week, right?
Yeah.
Are you coming to class like that?
I'm not going to class like that. I'm going to class.
No. Wait, what's up? I streamed these two. How do I get back in discussion to actually?
Drop it down.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, to be fair, that's
Well, I guess you can't.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make it a picture and then we put it on
should we load it on
All right, if y'all are done, just make sure you save it as an STL in a place where you can get it. Make sure you log out of your laptop and y'all are free to go.
Also, I think you and I both have components out of here. You're like, oh damn, that sucks. Anyway. Yeah, save it as a Solidworks file so we have a physical piece. Just in case if something happens. You lose one bit of work once and you're like skeptical for the rest of your life. The little thing I made. Oh yeah.
Kitchen's a personal favorite. I like
What's the kitchen?
There's no kitchen for this one. What do you mean? There's urban background.
Where is it?
Yes.
Oh, you gotta just manage things.
Oh, there's more? What the fuck?
There's a lot.
What?
Factory floor.
Factory floor? I never touched those. I always just keep it on courtyard. I didn't know there was more.
This is the most exciting thing ever.
It's alphabetical, so okay.
That's your one of your.
Kitchen background. Okay.
There it is.
Yo,
that was-
this is bad.
that's huge.
This goes
Oh,
so
there's
hard.
food!
It's really good.
I really like this. Dude, this is like one of the software developers.
That's the greatest thing I've ever
I'm gonna start using it. Normally I use the courtyard, but I'm not using it.
Yeah.
You know where we get all our molding and casting material from?
The brickyard molding and casting supplies, I think. You need it for a project?
So 5 is
Yeah.
this thing is brickyard basically flush, right? I don't need to pour anything.
Yeah, it should be
Is
alright.
that what you said?
So the air tunnel will not just
Okay, I'll put it in. Yeah.
I'll just text you.
But I don't need a.
Actually, no, it's really
I
I'll
don't need
send
a.
emails
like a-
if you
This
want
is
to
device.
find out.
We'll do it again at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, cool. Well, then I was.
Does anybody else need help?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, for anyone watching the recording, if you need help going over the mesh mixer part, just reach out to me or Douglas. I realize that we didn't catch that part, so best of luck. And just remember that document is attached with all the instructions.